So, first, let's talk about what is sustainable energy. What do we really understand from the concept of sustainable energy when we talk about it? So, first of all, the sustainable energy is the form of energy which can be naturally replenished. Remember the term naturally, because if you replenish the energy source from a man-made system or a factory system, then it is not sustainable. Sustainable energy should be naturally replenished, and its technology should improve the efficiency of energy usage. So it is not just a matter of using natural sources of energy, but it should be used using such a technology that its energy usage should be efficient, and lower amount of energy usage should be able to power more types of systems, and it should be able to give you more energy. So, energy usage should be sustainable. And also, this natural sustainable energy should have a long term availability. So, there can be some forms of energy which may be naturally replenishable, but if this energy form cannot be available for a long time, then it is not sustainable. So, sustainable means that it should be available for a long term. Now, when we talk about sustainable energy, then we should also understand what is non-sustainable energy. So, first of all, this is non-sustainable. Sustainable energy forms are such that cannot be regenerated, and they emit CO2 and other chemical gases, which leave off chemical particles in the atmosphere. Because of that, there is pollution of air, water, and earth. So these non-sustainable energy forms have these types of features, and because of sustained over a long period of time, we use this type of non-sustainable energy. It has brought the problem of climate change, which we are seeing now. Because earlier winters used to be longer, and there used to be much more colder temperature during the winters, but now we have winters have almost disappeared, and the temperature is much higher, the earth temperature is much higher, and also it is not just a matter of winter and warming of the planet, but there are more cyclones and leading to floods, and these cyclones are a lot more severe than what they used to be earlier, and there are all kinds of deforestation and desertification of the planets, and all types of problems leading to climate change. So nowadays there's a lot of talk about usage of sustainable energy forms and reducing the non-sustainable energy forms for our usage, for both domestic usage and also for industrial usage. Now, in many parts of the world, including in India, biomass energy has been propagated as more sustainable than than oil and petrol and other types of non-sustainable energy. But is biomass energy really sustainable? We have to look at this question. So, what is biomass energy? It is the energy that comes from plants and animals, and its sources are wood, animal remains, and garbage. So these wood and animal remains and garbage are recycled in factory, and the energy that is produced is supplied to the households and the to factories to for the energy usage. But is it sustainable? Because we are talking about the usage of wood, and when we talk about usage of wood, then it means we are talking about plants, usage of plants. So forests have to be cut down and animal remains have to be burnt at fast rate of consumption, because we are not only talking about using of energy for cooking at home, but we are also talking about using of energy for for factory and for producing electricity. So these are very high level energy consumption usages. So because of this, if you want to depend upon biomass energy, then you have to burn the animal remains and you have to cut down the forests at a very high level to produce the type of energy that you require to run your factories and also to produce electricity so that everybody will have electricity. Now, this biomass energy can be called sustainable only if you can cut down the forest at a slower rate, and only if you can plant new forests at a faster rate than the rate at which you are cutting down the forest. That means plantation of forest should be faster uh, than the than the rate of cutting down of forests. And the time taken to grow the trees is also calculated, because if you plant a forest today, then only after some few years it will start giving you trees will grow and then you can use that wood. So that time is also calculated, and within that time also you need energy. So, because of all this, biomass energy, although it does not emit harmful chemicals in the atmosphere, it cannot be called sustainable, because you cannot plant trees at a faster rate than the rate at which you cut down the trees, and also you need time for the trees to grow up. So that time is amounts to several years, and during these several years, you again need energy. So because of all this, biomass energy is not sustainable. It can only be a complementary source of energy, so that you can use when you need small amount of energy for domestic purposes. You can supplement your domestic energy usage with biomass, but otherwise it's not a sustainable form of energy. Now, a lot of talk has been done about nuclear energy and how it can fulfill the energy requirements of various countries and especially of India. Again, the question is nuclear energy sustainable? So, what is nuclear energy? It is produced by the nuclear fission in nuclear plants, and it produces large amounts of energy, and which can really fulfill the requirements of industries and mass supply consumption. So, nuclear energy has this advantage that it supplies a lot of energy and it can fulfill the industry requirements. And also, it can be a sustained energy production. It can be produced on a prolonged basis. However, nuclear energy is also it causes ecological pollution in forms of land, water, and air radiation. There's a lot of nuclear waste that is coming out of nuclear plants, and this nuclear waste has to be disposed of. So normally it is disposed of in land mass or in water, and it also produces, when the nuclear plant is running, it produces air radiation. So because of these can have very massive have it massive drawbacks. It really can affect the human lives, and also it can affect the biosphere. So, because of all this, nuclear energy, although it can sustain prolonged large-scale energy requirements, it is not a sustainable form of energy. Now, what are the sustainable forms of energy available to us? So, some of these forms are wind, water, solar, geothermal, and from ocean. Ocean is similar to water, but we'll see how in how many ways water can be channeled to produce energy. So I talked about water as a source of sustainable energy. This is called hydel power. Now, how hydel power produces? How does it produce energy? So when the water flows with force, with a lot of force, from a higher place to a lower place, and turbines and generators are used then to harness this force of water flow, and this then these generators produce the electricity. And this electricity is then supplied to the industries and also to domestic, also for domestic purpose. Now, why is this renewable? Because why is this sustainable? Because hydel power, water is which is the source, is renewable, and this energy is renewable. So, hydel power is a sustainable form of energy, and it can also generate a high amount of electricity, which can power our industries, and also it can be used for domestic usage. Now, how many types of hydropower are there? They are produced from large reservoirs, and they are produced from two small reservoirs, and also from the channel of river. So these large reservoirs are often criticized in the media because they occupy a lot of land, and this land has to be filled with a huge amount of water, and this displaces the population and also animal life. So, because of this, large reservoirs are criticized. But there is another option. You can use two small reservoirs, and you can use a pump station to generate energy from them. So, that is supposed to be a better option. And then a third form is from the running river, or when a river generates from the when a river originates from the mountain, and it flows down with force, then with the current of that river, you can generate electricity. Another form is wind energy produced by wind currents. And again, when the wind flows from hot area to cold area in the atmosphere, it generates currents. So that current can be harnessed by and produced electricity. So, how do these wind currents harnessed? They are harnessed by using wind turbines, and these turbines are of different types. So, when the wind is flowing from hot area to cold area, then it produces this current, and this current is harnessed by using turbines. And when this current is harnessed by using turbines, then the electricity is produced. And in this, the three factors are very important: speed of wind, temperature, and location. So the higher the speed, more the electricity produced. Temperature difference is very important because you are making the wind flow from the hot to cold area. So the temperature of both layers, hot and cold, should be maximum, so that maximum amount of energy is produced. And also location, because every place on the earth doesn't have uh, um, this type of feature, that wind will flow at a very high rate, and it will flow from hot to cold area. So there are certain places on the earth which have very high speed wind flowing, and those places are very important for wind energy generation. Now, wind turbines are used to, I said that wind turbines are used to produce electricity by capturing the wind that is flowing from hot to cold area. And these turbines, they capture the wind currents, and they send these currents to generator with a shaft. that is attached to the turbine. So there is a turbine, it captures the wind current, and there's a shaft attached to it, and this shaft is thrusting the wind currents into the generator. And then uh, this shaft rotates at low speed, and when it goes to the generator, then generator produces electricity by electromagnetic induction. So there is the turbine, there is a shaft, and there is a generator. So the turbine catches the wind currents, it pushes pushes it through the shaft, and the shaft connects it to the generator, and the generator has electromagnetic induction. So with the electromagnetic force, then electricity is produced and then passed on to factories and for domestic usage. Now, how many types of wind turbines are there? It may have horizontal axis, and the turbine will turn like this, like horizontally, or it can have vertical axis, and the turbine can uh, turn vertically around the vertical axis. And uh, out of these two, you can have small wind turbines and you can also have large wind turbines. So the large wind turbines usually have horizontal axis, and the smaller wind turbines have vertical axis. So according to the amount of energy that is to be produced, the axis of the wind turbine can change. Now we come to geothermal energy. What is geothermal energy? It is derived from the core of the earth. Our planet, the outer surface of the planet is cool, and that is why we live on the surface. But as you go down, the earth's temperature becomes more and more higher. And when you reach the core of the earth, that is the place where the earth is still very hot, and only the molten lava is there because the temperature is very high. And because the temperature is very high, then that temperature can be harnessed and produce to produce electricity. Now, another another source is decay of minerals. When the minerals decay, and forests which have gone underground many millions of years of ago, many millions of years ago, the forests which used to grow on the surface, they have been pushed underground, and their remains are there. So these are the sources of energy. Now, why is the core of the earth molten, and why is it so hot? Because the earth has various geological layers, and these layers exert a pressure on the core of the earth. So because of this, the all these decay of minerals which have been decayed, and the primeval forests which have been decayed, they come under the pressure from the geological layers, and they melt, and this causes the temperature to rise, and this heat remains trapped inside the earth. Now, this is called molten magma. This is trapped inside, and it is very hot. So it is brought out by the technology called intrusion and thermal conduction. And this magma comes out in the form of hot water streams. So this is the technology that brings the energy from the core of the earth to the surface. Now, there are some natural forms of geothermal energy. For example, volcanoes. What are volcanoes? They have a this uh, air shaft which goes right to the core of the earth, and it sucks out the magma which is there in the core of the earth in the molten lava form. So this molten lava then uses the shaft of the volcano, and it comes out. Similarly, hot springs, they go to the go deep into the earth, and because of the temperature that is there, these springs emit hot water. Similarly, geysers, they have the same mechanism. And geothermal reservoirs. So there are large lakes formed which have the bed goes to the deep into the earth, and that's why the water of these geothermal reservoirs is warm, because it captures the heat that is trapped inside the earth. And California in the US has a large number of these volcanoes and hot springs and geothermal reservoirs. And California is also, that's why it has volcanic eruptions also. And India also has some resources of geothermal energy, but they have not been tapped yet. And it will solve the problems. It will really help to solve the problems of the energy problems of India. So this is an area in which scientists can explore, and they can find out how much of geothermal energy potential India has. Nowadays, solar energy is very much into vogue, and everybody is talking about solar energy. So, this solar energy is most abundant because, especially in tropical countries like India, because the sun is very warm here, and you get a lot of sun, and this is sustainable also, and clean form of energy. That is why solar energy is being promoted nowadays. However, the problem with this solar energy is there that it cannot be harnessed according to quantity and use and time that required by us. For example, if you immediately need energy now, so in the night you cannot immediately capture the solar energy. So technology is being developed to harness this solar energy so that we can solve the problems. And the most popular technology that has been developed is active photovoltaic cells, PVC, which converts solar energy into electricity. And usually you have seen the PVC solar panels which are fixed on the rooftops, and they are fixed at a tilted angle so that they get maximum maximum rays of the sun, and they convert these rays of the sun into electricity, and then channelize it for heating, for generating electricity, for running electric generators, and also to run factories nowadays. So technology has been developed to run the factories also with solar energy. Now, there has been a study of uh, various parts of the world to understand how much energy, what potential of energy protection they have. And this study has been done by UN, UNDP, and this report says actually, if you see this table, the West Asia and North Africa region has the maximum potential of 11,000 exajoules. This solar energy is measured in exajoules. So maximum potential is there in West Asia and North Africa, and followed by Sub-Saharan Africa. So the entire Africa has the maximum solar energy potential in the whole world. And then Uh, in the third place is the former Soviet Union, that is Russia and other ancillary countries, smaller countries on the border of Russia. So first Africa, both North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, and also West Asia. So this region has the maximum potential of solar energy. Then Russia and other Central Asian countries. And North America comes fourth with 7,410 exajoules. And South Asia actually is very low in solar energy potential. It is only 1,339. And mind you, South Asia includes not only India but also Pakistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Mali, and these Nepal. So this 1,339 exajoules includes all these countries. So there is a need for India to really harness its solar energy potential because uh, as you can see from this table, that our solar energy potential is actually not as much as that of Africa, West Asia, Russia, and North America. We are really low on this. So we have to make use of every exajoule of solar energy potential that we have to make up for our energy requirement. And when we talk about energy requirement, we not only talk about domestic usage but also factory usage. Now, I had told you about ocean as a source of energy, and this is called tidal energy. So, because ocean has tidal waves, and these tidal waves generate electricity. So, this is called dynamic tidal power. And there are tidal lagoons formed. When the tide comes, then these tides are harnessed and lagoons are formed with it. And these tidal lagoons are then used for generating electricity. And this cannot be done on every coast because the shape of the coastline. If the coastline is crescent in shape, then the tidal lagoons are easier to form and more tidal energy will be produced there. Also, geography and sea currents are important for tidal energy production. Now, again, just like in the case of hydel power, we have tidal turbines to produce tidal energy. So this moving water which comes with the tide is pushed by the turbines into the power generators, and tidal barrages are formed so that this water is captured there, and then it is pushed into the power generator using uh, tidal turbines, and then this power generator then produces electricity and supplies it to industries and for domestic uses. And France, Canada, and UK are the three countries which have exploited the uh, energy usage of uh, tidal energy. Now, IT is a very important industry in India, and this is a growing industry, and almost everybody wants to go into IT, and everybody wants to use IT. So, what is the correlation between technology or IT industry with sustainable energy? Because IT industry is traditionally not an energy efficient industry in India and also in the world. And why is it not an energy efficient industry? Because it consumes very high level of energy for manufacture of IT products and also for running the all kinds of software platforms and all kinds of software, and so all this requires high level of energy, and it produces hardware which is non-recyclable. So over a period of time, all our hardware, laptops, smartphones, and tablets, and any hardware that you can think of, it becomes outdated and it becomes unusable, and you have to discard it. So this is non-recyclable material, and when you discard it, it goes into it produces all types of damage to the earth where it is thrown away, or to water and to air also. So because when you try to recycle it, then it emits lots of chemical particles in the air. So it is a non-recyclable hardware that is produced by the IT industry. So, and in the manufacturing stage of the hardware also, lots of pollution is generated. So it is not a sustainable form of industry. And what is happening is that all these first world countries, developed countries, they are shifting their manufacturing units to China, and now because of coronavirus problems, they are shifting out of China, and they are shifting their manufacturing units to countries like India, Taiwan, and other countries in Southeast Asia, because they want to come out of China because of this coronavirus situation. And so the more of manufacturing units will be installed in India, the more pollution and more unsustainable hardware will be produced in India, which is actually bad for India in the long run. So what is necessary is that these developed countries should be, keep their manufacturing units in their own country, because what happens is that they shift their manufacturing unit to India and China and Taiwan, and the emission of pollution increases in these countries because of this, while the developed countries reduce their pollution level. So this is also a reason why India and China and other countries in South Asia and Southeast Asia have a higher level of pollution emission, and why developed countries have a lower level of pollution emission, because they are shifting their polluting units to these countries. So they remain safe, and our atmosphere becomes unsustainable. And another need is that this development of technology uh, should be reformed, so that the hardware that is produced is recyclable and it is sustainable. It is absolute necessary. It is an absolute necessity nowadays. Otherwise, after 10 years, you will see the consequence of this. This is very bad for India's future. So the hardware should be sustainable. It should not be the non-recyclable hardware that they are producing now. Now, some of the companies have taken cognizance of this, and they have started using some type of recyclable materials in some of the products. For example, these printing machines, some of the printing machines are made with recyclable material, and some of the keyboards, they are made with recyclable material. But you have to, when you are buying any IT product, you have to inquire, and you have to ask whether they how much of recyclable material they are using, and what is the pollution emission level of their IT products, and you should buy your products accordingly. Now, why is this important for us? It is not just a case of using products in our own homes or in our own offices. On the international level, the amount of pollution level that is recorded in each country's record, it it controls the global policy, and these countries, ideally what happens is that every country should have a responsibility to minimize its pollution level. However, countries like India, China, Bangladesh, we cannot share this equal responsibility. because we are not in that position that first our technological know-how is not as good as that of the developed country. Second, we are not only manufacturing for ourselves, we are also manufacturing for the developed world. So we are not in the position to share the same type of pollution reduction program. And when the international policy is formulated, then this goes against us, against the third world countries, because the developed countries argue that these countries are producing more pollution. It is never taken into account that they are shifting their manufacturing unit to our place, and that is one reason why our pollution is increasing. But this influences the global policy, and the third world countries come under the global policy, and they are at a disadvantage. Another point is that the industrial model that we are following nowadays, it is itself not sustainable. And what is that industrial model? At the reduced to the very simplistic level, this industrial model says that your profits should continuously increase every year. It's not as if you should make a profit every year, but your profit should keep on increasing every year. And this means that you are continuously intensifying your exploitation of the natural resources every year. Your exploitation of the natural resources is increasing every year. Your emission of the pollution level is increasing every year. Your usage of energy is increasing every year, and also you are manufacturing more products because you want to make more profit every year. So this industrial model itself is not sustainable. No matter what policies you make, no matter what type of technologies you make, unless you slow down this industrial production rate, you cannot beat climate change. So this industrial economic model has to be changed, and it is high time, because if we don't change it, then we are going to lose out, and we are not going to be able to save this planet. So if you are serious about climate change, about controlling climate change, if you are serious about reducing production level, then not only you have to improve your technology, not only you have to use sustainable energy forms, not only you have to use recyclable material in your manufacturing units, but you also have to change your industrial economic model, because the current industrial economic model is such that it induces you to exploit the natural resources at a more and more aggressive rate every year. And when this happens, climate change is an ultimate essential. I mean, it has to happen. So if you want to control it, you have to change your industrial economic model.